ourselves, so we could express ourselves and, you know, share and so on. So today we're going to do part two. Part two. What's the topic again? I'm just kidding. I know what the topic is, right? Is it my fault that I'm single? Right? Is it my fault that I'm single? We're doing part two. And for those of you who were here last week, let me ask you, is it your fault? I don't know if you all had like a whole week to think about what we spoke about last Monday. And we had a couple of people share and so on. And so let me ask you, if I would like to know if anybody's on the call now and you were here last week and maybe you had a different opinion before the call, and after listening to what was shared last week, Monday, you could probably say now that, yes, it is my fault. Anybody like that on the call? Like you never thought about it, or maybe you never even thought about whose fault it was, or if you know, if there's something more that you could do. But after the session last week, you feel like, okay, you know what, it could be my fault or my responsibility solely for my status, you know, whether I'm single or married. Anybody had a change of heart after Monday's call? Let me see if so, you could just type it in the chat. That would be interesting to know. I know a couple of people told me personally that yes, they did have a change of heart after last week's session. Anybody else willing to admit, or maybe you're still kind of wavering, you know, as to whether it is your fault or not? Anybody? Is it that it's too early for you all to chat? Anybody in chat? You could say yes, no. Anybody had a change of heart? What about last week? We ended. Pauline said she completely agreed even before that it is entirely your fault. I mean, if you think about it, even without a session, I mean, it doesn't have. I think what a lot of women, why they don't like to admit that it could be their fault, because admitting that it could be their fault that they're single, perhaps they think that I'd be implying that they're doing something wrong, right? But that's not necessarily true. But who else could take responsibility for you being single, or for you being married, or for you? Who else, you know? I don't know how to think or feel because I'm in a toxic relationship. Well, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. But just like, well, I'll say it. Just like to the person who just made that comment, just like based on what we said last week, it's our fault for our status, whether you're married, you're single, you know, because you are the one making the choices. It is also your fault that you are in a toxic relationship. You actually can't blame the other person, even if they are the ones they are the toxic one. They're to blame. It's still your fault that you are there. So actually, for most of the issues in our lives, we cannot pass the blame on anybody else for the choices that we make, or for the things that we choose to accept in our lives. You know, people like to shy away from that because it is always easier to put the blame on somebody else. But at the end of the day, it really does come down to your choices, right? And what you're willing to accept. So before I start, when I ended off last Monday, I said that there were a few people who you know, shared, and I said that I would start off this week allowing anybody who was on the call last Monday who may want to share or ask a question, or want, you know, I just want clarity based on something that I said last Monday, or you want to add to what I said, disagree, anything. If anybody wanted to make a comment and you did not get the opportunity to, because we sort of finished, it went kind of late. So if anybody wants to make any statement, anything based on last week, you were here last week, you could go ahead and unmute your mic and do so now. If not, I would get straight into to part two, right? Anybody wanted to comment and you were like, shucks, I didn't get an opportunity to say what I wanted to say. Anybody like that on the call? All right. Okay. All right. So last week, so I'll start, right? Last week, we kind of ended off. One of the last things that I spoke about last week was, and I mean, I was apologizing a lot last week, and I feel like I have to apologize up front again, you know, because I don't want you all to feel, you know, like you know. But I was talking to the older ladies, the ladies in their late 30s, 40s, who are, let's say, some might be single by choice, right? Some might be single by choice. And by that, I mean, you've had prospects or you've had relationships, but, you know, for some reason, you moved on or things didn't work, or some ladies might have preferred to get certain things in order first, work on their career, whatever, but for whatever reason, you ended up, let's say 35 and up and still single. But nowadays, 30 and up is you know, kind of late too, but right. And I was saying last week that it is more difficult for older women to find partners. And we went through why that is, and I think most of you agreed that a man, even let's say a man who's 40, it would be easier for a man at 40 to have a woman at 30 be attracted to him and want to be with him, or even younger, 25. I mean, I've seen some big age differences, right, with some older men and younger girls. And the reason why that is possible, women look for a little bit more than the men might be looking for. Women want security. They want a certain type of lifestyle. They want somebody who could protect them. They want, right? And so if they meet an older man who has all those things already, you already have a house, you have a car, a secure job, you know, you will have a settled life. You know, you could, that's an attraction. That adds to the package for a woman. So it's easier in that respect. But when it comes now for a man looking for a woman, it is very rare that he would go older rather than younger. So if a 40-year-old could choose between a 40-year-old woman or a 35-year-old woman, he will go for the 35. If he can get 30, he's going for 30 ladies, right? It's just how, you know, if you think about it, you and all would admit, well, yeah, it makes sense, right? And then we spoke about, I don't know if I got into this much, but I was talking about how the older you get and the longer you live on your own, the more independent you are, the more difficult it is for you to adjust to that dating lifestyle. So when you do meet someone and your schedule and you know, things get ruffled and shuffled and your comfortable life and your routine kind of gets interrupted, because now you have somebody else in your life and you have to make time, you have to make space and do all these things because this person is a part of your life. It's difficult for women who have already settled in their routine and they feel, well, okay, I've accomplished all this, and now you have to, it feels a lot of times for some ladies like I have to now accommodate this person. So it's not like, you know, oh, I met the love of my life and whatever. Like, you know, in your 20s, you don't care about nothing. Listen, when a 21-year-old and a 22-year-old fall in love, they care about nothing but each other. Am I lying, ladies? It is naive in a sense, but in my opinion, also beautiful in a sense, right? All they care about is being with each other. They feel like they could conquer the world. Nothing is an obstacle. They have nowhere to live, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. They have nowhere to live, but that's not a problem. We go make it. We go find a place. Don't worry. Don't worry. We go make it, right? They ain't have no job, or one of them have no job. It's like, nah, don't worry. I go get a job. I will take care of her, or I will take care of him, or whatever. No matter what obstacle you throw at them, right? The most important thing for them when you're that age and you have that kind of passionate love is being together. They don't care where they are together. once they are together. Don't care who have what, you know. And as I said, that has its disadvantages, but in my opinion, it has some advantages too. Because then when you get married at that age, it allows for growth together. You know, yeah, well, hopefully the two people have similar goals and not necessarily passions, but goals and values, and that, because that is important, right? So you're able to build together and work together, and there are less things, you know. A 22-year-old woman and a 30-year-old woman and a 40-year-old woman have different things on their checklist, and understandably so, right? Understandably so, because the 22-year-old, they have not experienced life yet. They have not even come into their own selves yet. They don't even know who they are yet, right? Although I've met 40-year-old women who have no clue who they are either, right? But yeah, for 22-year-old, life is much simpler when it comes to love, right, ladies? I'm sure you all agree with me there, right? So I said all that to say that as you get older, it does get more difficult to find a husband. That we just cannot dispute that. But I don't want that to be a discouragement to you ladies who might be older, because a lot of tonight's session is dedicated to helping you to overcome that, right? So, and then this was one of this, well, this somebody actually said this coming down to the end. So I'll start here. I think there was a young lady who actually said there are no good men out there. She said, and I've heard many women say that every man I meet is the same thing. It have no good men. All the good men gone. They you know, whatever the excuses, all men are dogs. You know that saying, right? All of them is the same thing. Every time I get in a relationship, it's the same thing. All men is the same, right? And to prove my point, this was one on my list. One of the ladies said that last week. And ladies, y'all cannot really believe that, right? Anybody here listening to me actually really does believe that all men are, or they have no good men out there, right? No good men, or all men, basically they're the same. Anybody believe that? Be honest. If you believe it, just say, yes, I believe it. It's not, I'm not going to judge you. It's not going to judge you, because people go through phases in life, and based on your experience, you know, you believe things. All men are not, but most men, most men can only say, so it's not all. What is this on my phone? Yes, Nakoda said she believes all men bad, all of them is the same. Kimberly disagrees. Good for the men, Kimberly. Right? So you have two who kind of agree. Well, one said yes, she agreed. Daniela says no, not at all. Anybody else willing to be honest if you do feel that way? That all of them, man, is the same thing out there, all of them. They just come in different forms and shapes and fashions, but all of them is the same. All of them is dog, right? So ladies, that can never be true. That could never be true, that all men are the same. Do you think that all women are the same? Do you think that all women have the same intentions towards men? All women, you know, do you put all women in this in a box as well and wrap it and say all women, you know? No, I don't hear women saying that. And it just cannot be true that all men are not good, or that it's so difficult to find a good man. And so so ladies, listen to this, right? If you are one of those women who think that way, Sadia, yes, in some respects, yes. Just like most women think along the same lines, all men are dogs, more loyal than human beings. Not my dog. Not my dog. But I wouldn't go there. That's for another session. I'll probably do sometime. But yeah, anyway. Yeah. Yes. We know this, we know there's a book, and there's people say it all the time, that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Men are different to women, and all men do have similarities, no doubt. just as all women do have similarities. And when it comes to the opposite sex, there are a lot of things that men do have in common, a lot of things that men would look for in a woman that's very common for all men. But when it comes to the values of a man, their values, their beliefs, who they are as human beings, how they treat people, you can't put all of them in one category. That's you can't do that. There are men who are brought up very well, come from very good homes, and know how to treat people, know how to speak to people. They're gentlemen, they're kind. They're very kind to their wife or their girlfriend or whoever. And it's a lot of it is based on maybe how they grew up. For some of them, maybe it's based on their religion, what they were taught growing up in whatever religion they grew up. So, and then there's some men who they don't have any kind of religion. They grew up in a home where anything is anything, that it doesn't, whatever is whatever. And so they treat people anyhow. And so people act and people behave, and you would see different personality traits based on their environment, the environment that they grew up in, what they learned, what their values are. But I know that I can't say that, hold on for me 1 second, ladies. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. I can't say that I'm 50 and I've met many men. And I certainly can't say I've met all kinds. I certainly cannot say that all of them are the same, because people have different values. They come from different places. They have different experiences, right? So let me explain to you ladies who are saying that all men are the same, why that is for you, why it seems, that way for you, right? So ladies, many times, based on where you are at in your life, right? And people in the world, I guess you could relate to this term, like your vibe, your aura, what you're giving off, who you are at the time, right? Let's say you are somebody, and I mentioned this last week, right, ladies? So work with me. Let's say you are somebody, when you go to pick up somebody, when you're looking to pick up a guy, you either try to do that in a fete, maybe a boat ride, a bar after work, party, whatever. You might go, wherever. That's your place to meet guys, right? That's the place you go to meet guys. Most of the fellas who go into these places, ladies, they're also looking for a woman. But when they go into a bar and a party and a fete or maybe carnival or wherever it is, looking for a woman, they are not looking for, they're not going there saying, I'm going to look for my wife. They're not saying that. They're not saying I'm going to the bar. Fella, let me go to the bar later. I want to find my wife in this bar, right? I could assure you 99% of them not saying that, right? They're looking to meet somebody, yes, but it's what kind of relationship they're looking to have with this person that they meet, in these places, right? Sometimes you meet the same kind of guys over and over and over again because you're meeting them in the same kind of places. It could be based on where you are going to meet the people. It could also be based, ladies, on the vibe that you are giving off. Certain people are attracted, certain men are attracted to certain things, right? Ladies, please do not get angry with me for what I'm about to say, right? I can only be truthful, and I'm telling you, many times you don't see your faults and issues and why you are where you are at in your life right now. Most times, the Bible actually says that all of a man's ways seem right in his own eyes, right? But most times we far away from right, and we far away from truth, and we far away from God and his way, right? Based on how you carry yourself, if you are a woman who is, let's say, you might be a cusser, you're loud, you like to cuss, you don't take no shipping it to anybody come up in your face. You telling them what time it is, you're not taking no shipping it, you're out there, you might carry yourself a certain way, right? Ladies are just telling you, right? If that's your vibe, like, you're a fighter, not necessarily physical fighting, but nobody can message you. So from the time somebody pass on the bounce, you must get an apology, right? Yeah, it's nice to get an apology, but you're bad, right? Basically, you're bad. Nobody can come around me, and you have this kind of way. You're even moving that way, right? Your body language says that, whatever, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, all of these things, all of these aspects of you ladies that people see causes them to form a perception of you, right? And if that is how you are carrying yourself, ladies, there's a certain type of man who will not be attracted to that, right? To the loud fighter girl out here who just out here to, when you're going party, you're drinking, you get drunk every time you go out, somebody had to carry you home. I mean, and you might just call it me having a good time. Yeah, I had to have a good time after a hard weekend work. What do you expect? I had to go out there and free up myself and drink, all the excuses, right? But if that's your lifestyle, if that's what people see, ladies, I'm telling you, there's a certain type of man that would be attracted to that, right? But there's a certain, a large percentage who would be maybe not necessarily saying they're not interested because let's say you're attractive, but it would be why would they be interested and what kind of relationship they actually want from you, right? And so who you are at the time in your life could determine the kind of men that are attracted to you. And not only on that side of things, if you are somebody who portrays yourself, and I'm going to come to that after, let's say you lack confidence, so you always looking down on the ground, you're shy, somebody's mic is unmuted. If you could mute it, that would be nice. You're always looking down on the ground, you're always in a corner somewhere, somebody could look at you and tell that you are not too sure about yourself. Again, there's a whole bunch, you eliminate a whole group of guys that probably would not be attracted to that, right? I'm not saying there may not be a guy who might, still approach, but I'm saying sometimes we attract, it's not that all men are the same, ladies. We are attracting one type of man, right? And again, to me, it is a very logical thing if you sit down and think about it. How could all the men in the world or all the men in Trinidad be the same? No way. It's just not logical, right? That could be the case. And so you, at some point, ladies, you're going to have to stop saying all men are this and all men are that, and start looking at you and saying, well, what about me? What about my personality? What about me is causing this type of guy to be attracted to me, or I am attracted to, why am I always attracted to this type of man, right? Because remember, ladies, you are making a choice. When these guys approach you, these dogs, these men who, whatever you want to say about them, you are giving in, right? You are, by choice, you are getting to know them. You are entering a relationship with them. It's your choice. Why are you attracted to men like that? So it can't be that you can't tell me that you're blaming all the men and you're not looking at you. That perhaps there could be something wrong with me. Maybe there's something about me that is causing this type of person to be attracted. If you continually end up in toxic relationships, ladies, it could be that you yourself are toxic. Think about it. Because I know some fellas, I know a good few fellas, man, and very few of them are, I would say, toxic, right? And so, and I'm in a small circle. I don't know plenty of people at all. I'm in a small circle. My church small. I don't have plenty of friends. And so in my little circle, I know that all men not toxic, right? And so if you keep going from man to man, relationship to relationship, and all of your relationships are toxic, could you be part of the equation? Could it be that you could be toxic as well? You have some toxic behavior or emotions, or you don't know how to deal with conflict properly. Maybe you don't know how to deal with conflict, and so things always end up toxic. So ladies, you can't keep blaming the other person. You cannot. The worst thing you could do for yourself, ladies, is to go through life, and when you keep bouncing up obstacles, you're looking to blame somebody on the outside, blame somebody externally. If you never look at yourself, ladies, in my opinion, you will never be free from You never live a life of freedom and have healthy relationships. You have to do introspection and you have to be able to say, wow, I am wrong. I have been this attitude, what I'm doing here, this is wrong. This is actually hindering me. This is not helping me, right? That is not, it's not a bad thing to sit sometimes and look within and be like, whoa, why is this constantly happening to me, right? And so ladies, the excuse that there are no good men, or it's hard to find a good man, or all men are the same, in my opinion, is just not true. There are still good men out there, but hear what I've noticed, ladies, hear what I've noticed. Hear what I've noticed. Ladies have, in my opinion, again, notice I'm saying that a lot, ladies have a lot more requirements when it comes to choosing a man than a man would have when choosing a woman. So yes, you might meet a good guy. There's a pretty good guy, like in my church, for instance, there's a guy that's good, you know, brought up well enough, has a decent enough job, loves God, serves God, you know, is generally a good person, but he may not necessarily be all that, you know, the kind of guy that women would be all, you know, attracted to and running down kind of thing, right? And nobody interested in the good guy because he doesn't have the other things, right? So many women say there are no good guys out there. That's not true. You mean you're not so attracted to the good guys? They're too good. The ones who keeping themselves and they're just about their business. They're not no big sweet boy now, you know. They're like the fellas with swag and the ones that's all that now, you know, when, you know, they're handsome, they could bust a little sweet talk, you know, they're coming across, you know, we like that. We like that charming, you know, come and tell you a little, two little whisper thing in your ear and make you giggle, you know. You know, you like that. That's the kind, you know, he has sweet talk and thing and, you know, that kind of thing. But the good fella who have the good morals and the good standards and who just looking for a wife out here and looking to make it out here in life and serve God, love God, you know, not interested in him. So it's not that they don't have good guys or it's hard to find good guys. It's hard for all it to find the good guy with all the other things that's actually not necessary. All the swag and all them things, all they're looking for, and the nice dresser. Let me tell you something. It don't matter how much swag he have. It don't matter how he could dress, how he could talk, what he could tell you in your ear, whatever. All them things. When you see life come at you, ladies, 5, 10 years into your marriage, and I'm sure I could ask some of the ladies on this call who married, right? 5, 10 years into your marriage, when finances start to get rough, when your child's sick, when they come in to take your house, when times like COVID hit and all, you don't know what to do. Listen, you forget what he looked like. You forget what he looked like because things so hard, you can't even study that. All this swag and thing, it will really come down to, can this man make sound decisions, right? Right? With his nice, swaggy, sexy self, right? Can he make good decisions for my family, right? Can this man really go before God and hear from God and tell and help help our family out of this situation, right? Is this man, is this saga man, this sweet boy, he gonna stand by me when that girl in the office start to come on to him, right? Because ladies, listen, women don't give up. It don't matter if your husband, if your man married. Of course, if your man married. It don't matter if they see a man married. If a woman wants a man, that means nothing to her. The ring means nothing, right? So no matter how swag he is and how you feel like a bite up shilling because you get his sweet boy, can he be faithful to you, right? Yeah, girl, I hear you. Them sweet boy could stay right there. Well, I done fix up already, yeah. My husband, I mean, he good looking, but he was certainly no swagger. When I say that, like, he had no swag, he had no game, still so real odd. Don't know how to talk to people. He's the last person you'll see going and whisper anything in anybody's ear, right? I good with that. I good with it. In fact, he's so odd. He didn't even know how to talk to, like, if you know, like a stranger come to him and talk, he a little odd, whatever, you know? I like that. Nice. I good with that. I good. You see them fellas out there who, the sweet talker, the words just roll off their tongue and listen, if it's rolling off their tongue for you, Ladies, it rolling off the tongue for the girl in work too, right? Swag don't keep no relationship. So, swagger man, can he be faithful to you? Can he push away the attractive girl, right? Can he do all those things? So all of those things. So ladies, you all, before you get married, you want to meet a man with all of that. You want everything. You want the whole package, right? You say that, but really and truly, those are the things that attract you, right? Something about him is just something, right? That's something need to, listen, make sure that can carry you through your 20 years. People don't see down the road and the trials and things that can happen in a marriage, right? So those things are not, that should not be on your list, in my opinion, of things that you want or values or whatever you want in a husband, because those things cannot help you when trials and tribulations hit you in life. And I am sure everybody in this call, every single one on this call would agree that life is not without trial and tribulation. Everybody goes through them. And so, ladies, who you choose to go through this life with is important. Well, you hear me, eh? Ladies, the things that we see as important before we are married, every married person would tell you, ladies, that the things that they saw as important as a single person, now that they're married, their list will be totally changed. Where my married ladies on the call, do you all agree with that? I'm the first one to say that, right? The things that I had as important, now that I'm married, would be totally different on my list. I'm not saying that my husband did not fulfill, those things, but I'm saying my list was different, right? It just so happened that he was able to be a good husband, right? But if I got just what I wanted on my list at 22, 23, it probably wouldn't have been a good man, right? How many of you married ladies on the call could say that? That the list of requirements that you had as a single person, now that you've been married for some time, different requirements. And that if you were to talk to your daughter and tell your daughter what they should look for in a man, it would be completely different to what you looked for, from what you had on your list in your 20s. Let me see you ladies, how many of you agree with me there, that the list changes once you get married? Let me see you all in the comments. Talk to me. Married ladies. I know you have some married ladies here. Yeah, like one of the things that people don't see as that important, but I think people are getting wise now, because there's so much information. Yes, Khadijah. There's so much women the married ladies on the call. Come now, ladies. Would your list be different now? Right, Crystal says yes. If you were to make a list of requirements now that you're married, it would be different to when you were single, unless you was like a real wise single person, right? What I was gonna say, boy, I said 2 words and then I read a comment and I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot. If anybody could remind me what I was saying before I read the comment, that would be nice. Because it's like totally went out of my mind. Wow. Wow, that's not good. But I was about to say something and I was distracted and it's gone, right? So bye-bye to that thought. Yeah. So ladies, the good men, the no good men theory, squashed. I think you have to, what you need in a relationship is, I would say that what you need in a relationship is, I don't know, if your list in a guy is different now. Right, I was asking the ladies, married ladies, to come out and say, yeah. If you're asking me if it changed, there are a couple of things that changed, definitely. That, let me see. Yeah, there are a couple of things, but not core things that would affect my life in a big way, if you know what I mean. So one of the big things I was just gonna say, I don't want to forget again. I was just gonna talk about finances, right? That is something that a lot of people overlook. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, okay. A lot of people overlook the financial stability and how important a part finances play in a marriage. Because not having sufficient money to pay your bills and get by puts an extreme amount of stress on a marriage, especially in newlyweds. At any stage in your marriage, when you have children and you're not 100% sure if you could provide a meal for them or if you could buy their school books, you don't know where the money gonna, those things put serious strain on your marriage. It puts stress on you, you know, as a mother and if the father as well. And so that is something that people overlook when they're single. They always have this thinking, we go make it love, you know, like love is all you need. I remember doing a session some time back that was entitled Love is Not All You Need. I'm sorry to hear that, Crystal. Love is not all you need, ladies, to get married. There's some other things that are very, very, very important to make your life easier as well, right? And so that is something that is overlooked, I think, by people who are not married. Because the thought is always, we will get through it together, man. We will work something out. But when things must get better when we get together. Yes, that is true. But I think that if in choosing a partner, ladies, you do have to see a pattern, at least of this person being responsible with finances, working towards, you know, if let's say the person isn't working when you get married, at least there was something in the past, a track record, something that you could look back on and say, okay, this person is going to handle our finances in the home properly. I've seen them do it in the past. They may not be there now, but it's just a time, or the person is ambitious and working towards something. But there must be, in my opinion, some kind of fruit. If you're talking the talk, I must see something behind it, because finances is a big deal, you know, moving forward. And then a lot of other things too that people overlook. But that I'm going to end up in a whole other session. So ladies, all that was to say, the theory about all men are not good is not a correct one. It's not true, right? Right. Yeah. Last thing I would say about that, I wrote something here that I think is important. And what I said here was that you cannot outdo yourself. And by that I mean is that when I was talking about, remember I said, ladies, that sometimes you attract the type of man that your aura gives off, or your vibe, or whatever. There's a certain type of person that is attracted to that, right? And many times you do want better for yourself. You keep saying it as well. I don't want this for myself. I don't want this for myself anymore. But if that is who you are, if you remain consistently toxic, or you remain consistently somebody who is just your concern is partying, drinking, that kind of lifestyle, you just out there, or let's say, I mean, I'm saying negative things, right? But let's say you are somebody who, one of those really, don't get like my ladies, one of those really driven women who are really focused on accomplishing certain things. And when somebody might come into your space that might actually be a good option for you, you are so focused on you and your life and your career and accomplishing X, Y, and Z, that you don't see the person in front of you, right? You cannot outdo yourself. So many times you get what you deserve, right? Many times, or you get, it's like, you know, the Bible, there's a concept about sowing and reaping. And what you sow generally in life is what you reap, right? And so ladies, self is what you really need to work on, right? So this is where I'm going now, right? So this now, let me go over the things that from last week that I said was a hindrance, or the things that people believe have them single, that in my opinion, it's not true. One was God, right? A lot of women say that they're single because of God, and we had a discussion about it. Some people agreed, some people disagreed. Somebody made a statement about they don't have good men in church. Let's say you are a church-going person and you're looking for a man of God or somebody in church or in the same religion as you, and you say there's no good men in the church. So what, they have one church in Trinidad? Come now. The religion you belong to is only one of those churches that have in Trinidad. You can move around, right? You can move around. I told her, not a sister, I told her brother that the other day. I said to him, you know, our church is pretty small. It's the same girls rotating for some years now. You know all of them. None of them, you were able to form a relationship with none of them. Why not start to go out and meet people? And the person was like, nah, I want to meet somebody in church. So I was like, well, cool. You know what I mean? That's your choice. But don't come and say like what you're saying, because this is a guy I was talking to. It's no girls there for me or whatever. Because you looking in the spot with the same woman that you know for years. What do you think? One of them will just wake up in the morning and say, after knowing you for 6 years, that, okay, I'm interested now, you know? So you could go out, ladies, right? So God is not the reason. A lack of good men is not the reason. Some women say that they want to be sought after, that they want to be pursued, and that the Bible says that he that finds a wife finds a good thing. So they are waiting to be found. I find that, don't get angry with me, ladies. I have no problem with online dating as long as the site that you're on is a safe one. Some of them are out of timing. I'm not against it. I know a couple right now who met each other. I mean, their marriage is still young. Two actually 3 couples who are married recently within the past year or two, and they met online. One of them already have a child. Yeah, if you're not going out, yeah. So I'm not against online dating, but you have to be careful. What was I saying? Right, the scripture that says he that finds a wife finds a good thing, a woman, and they're waiting to be found. I think that to be very silly. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that a woman should be pursuing a man, but certainly you can position yourself. If it is you want to be found, at least position yourself to be found. So if you see somebody you're interested in, you know the person for a while and you say, okay, this guy, I like this guy, I would like to get this one. And you so against approaching a man, at least put yourself in position. Throw down something by his foot and pick it up, or trip on his shoe or something. Make yourself known somehow, something, but don't just sit down in a corner waiting to be found, right? I find that to be a bit ridiculous. Good man to find human person that you're given talents, right? Right? Yeah, make us do something you could do. Become innovative, right? And so those were a couple of things. And then we just spoke about no good men, which is also not true. And then the last thing we spoke about was the older women who already have everything together, that their requirements may be a little different than a younger woman because of the fact that they have so many things already accomplished in their life. They want somebody to match that. And so that could be a problem as well, right? And so this is the last thing I'm going to talk about tonight, but it's important and there's a lot that I want to go through, right? Ladies, listen to me and listen to me well, right? Do not underestimate, ladies, the power of self-confidence when it comes to finding a man. Well, for anything in life, actually. But we're talking about being single and if it's your fault. So I'm saying it in this respect, right? Right. Do not, listen to me. We're going to talk about confidence, right? Do not underestimate the power of self-confidence as a woman in attracting a man. And I mean, any type of man, right? And with that said, I want to say, before I go on, that comparison is a thief of confidence, right? You know, it have plenty of them thief sayings, right? But comparison, there's nothing that could take away your confidence like comparison. If you are somebody who is always comparing yourself to other women, always looking at what other women have that you don't and trying to get what they have or be like they are, or always thinking that you are not enough because when you look outside at other women, they seem to have so much. What about younger men coming after older women? Celeste, you would remember these questions so I could answer them at the end, right? Because I definitely want us to have a discussion about the questions that you all have been asking. So I'll remember that, right? But ladies, let's talk about confidence now, because it is very important, right? Many of you, in my opinion, again, I'm saying in my opinion, and don't get angry with me, ladies, right? Because you lack confidence. And sometimes women have confidence that is not even real. There's a confidence that's going around now. The world, they actually say it, fake it till you make it, right? So you could fake confidence. And that is true. There are certain things that you could do to your outward self, to your body, to make yourself appear more confident. But it's not necessary. It might actually make you feel more confident, but only for a while. If you don't feel confident on the inside, then it's basically faking it until you make it. But what is the most important thing for you? Is it being confident and portraying yourself as a confident woman in order to attract a particular type of man? And then let's say let's say your fake confidence worked, right? Let's say your fake confidence worked. You're feeling like a mess inside, but you're looking great outside, right? And we know, ladies, let me watch all here. We know it have plenty of oil on the call right now. That when you come out and you dress up and thing, you're feeling good because you know you're looking good. Nothing wrong with that. Every woman likes to dress up and feel good and know that people say, oh gosh, you look pretty, women like compliments and stuff. Nothing wrong with that, right? But what's the point if when you go home and you wash your face and you take off what you had to take off and you lie down on your bed, you're crying? What's the point? Who wants that? So the thing is not to be only confident on the outward, but to be confident on the inside, right? Yeah. And so you get a man, right? Yes, you were single. And let's say after this session, because I am going to go through how you could appear to be more confident, because nothing is wrong with that, and how to actually become more confident, right? And let's say after this session, you work on the outward, how you could appear to be more confident. And you do, some guy is attracted to you, right? And you get him, but you're still feeling like crap inside. Do you know you will sabotage that relationship? Ladies, listen to me. So you could dress up and look the part, attract the man, actually get him to be interested, because men are visual. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with man seeing an attractive, pretty woman and saying, whoa, that's a beautiful woman. I want to get to know her. They're not doing anything wrong. That's how men are made up, right? But then when they get to know you, a good man, that is, wants to know that there's some kind of substance there, that I'm meeting somebody with some kind of self-confidence, some kind of words, right? And so let's say you fake it till you make it. You fake it till you get a man. If you are really not confident on the inside and you're still that broken, insecure person on the inside, you will sabotage the relationship. Are you hearing me, ladies? And some of you may have actually been through that. You've actually been in scenarios like that, where you get a guy because you were looking good, but then you sabotage it because you're just a mess inside. You don't know how to communicate. If he tell you something, you feel it, he attacking you. You don't feel pretty. You see him look at another girl and say hi, you get jealous. All that kind of thing. And you are the ones who sabotage the relationship, right? So here what I want to help you all to do, and I hope I'm able to finish it. I think I will. I want to help you to not only appear to be more confident, but to be really confident, right, ladies? And to learn how to have self-worth, right? So let me ask you a question. Some of y'all, you're not happy with yourself. And by that I mean, you're not happy with yourself. You're not happy with who you are right now. You don't feel at peace. When you are alone, most of the times when you are alone, you feel depressed. The thoughts that go through your mind, they're defeated, that the voices that you hear that speak to you about yourself don't say anything good about you. So basically, you are an unhappy person on the inside, right? Many times it's difficult to hide that. Some people can for a time, but if somebody observes you for a period of time, it would be difficult to hide that, right? No matter what mask you put on the outside. So why would somebody who feels like that about themselves, ladies, this is my question, expect that somebody, a man, would want to now join themselves with you, with your unhappy self. You not happy with you. You are insecure. You have all these thoughts, all these fears, or whatever, and you are expecting a man to come and want to be a part of that with you. It's like saying, I don't like me, but I want somebody to come and like me. It does not work like that, ladies. You might get somebody to show interest, but if the person really cares about you, what they will want to do is get you out of that sort of slum and that way that you feel about yourself. And you know what ends up happening? It ends up being toxic. Because if you are not in a place to actually recognize, misery like company, perfectly said. You remind me of my grandmother there, right? Misery like company. So if you're not in a position to recognize that you have all these issues and problems and that you need help, and this person comes into your life, it's actually probably going to be a toxic thing, a toxic relationship. It'll end up being fighting because you all are going to have different, see things from different perspectives, right? And it's probably not going to work, right? And so ladies, you're not going to expect someone to join your misery. It's actually not fair. So we need to heal, right? Listen, you preaching what I'm going to say. So what I was just about to say is the fair thing. It's not fair to invite somebody into that if that's who you are. The fair thing to do, ladies, 1 second. The fair thing to do, ladies, right, is to work on you first, to make sure you fix these issues first. Make sure that you have real confidence, that you develop self-worth, that you know where your value comes from, that you are happy and content with who you are now. Now, being happy and content with who you are right now, ladies, does not mean you have to stay where you are, because we are always on a journey of getting better, doing better, improving, right? But it doesn't mean that where you are right now is not, you have to be depressed about it, or you can't be content, or you can't do your best in this very moment, right? You can't live for the future. So you can't be depressed now and thinking, well, when I get there, then I will be happy. The Bible actually says that, what's the scripture? Godliness with contentment is great gain, right? And so, and again, and Paul talks about knowing how at different periods in his life, how to be content. In the times where he had plenty, in the times where he had little, in the times where things wasn't going too good, things were going great, he was always able to be content. It means you're not in a place of always, this need to be better, or, you're never satisfied with now. You always want to be somebody else, and you can't enjoy, it's like people say when you go for, let's say you're going to, where's a good place in Trinidad that's far that people like to go to? Let's say you're going to Maracas, right? Not much, I shouldn't say that. All right, let's say you're going to Maracas Waterfalls, Maracas St. Joseph, up in Maracas, right? And you want to get there bad because you hear it real beautiful, right? On the journey to Maracas, you're driving in the car, you can enjoy the ride too. You're not going to be that person who's going to sit down in the car and say, oh gosh, how long again? Oh gosh, boy, I can't take this car drive, Lord. Oh gosh, look at that pothole. Oh gosh, how your car stuck and so, oh gosh, I can't wait to get there. Some of you all go through life like that, right? You have to enjoy the journey at every step. There are things that you can find to enjoy. If you're in a car with people, laugh with them, talk with them, make jokes, play the music loud, do something, right? That's what I'm trying to say, but I'm relating it to life, right? Some of us live our entire lives like that, right? And so ladies, you don't want to join anybody to your misery. You want to become that confident person on the inside and the outside. So here we go, right? I am a firm believer in making yourself attractive as you can. I'm not saying pay emphasis on that, but I'm saying work with what God gave you to the best that you could, right? I'm a firm believer that as a woman, especially if you are a woman looking to attract a man, if you are single and you desire to be married, I think that you should present yourself on the outward a certain way, that you should take care for how you look because men are attracted to what they see. It's just a natural thing. The Bible says that man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. If I just meet you, if I go down the road and you stop me and say, hey, Onika, you from the call? My name is Khadijah. I'm on the calls with you, and I meet Khadijah for the first time in person. I will answer that serious question at the end, though, but please ask it, right? Go ahead and ask it. Let's say I meet Khadijah. The only way I can form an opinion about Khadijah in that moment is how Khadijah presents herself in that moment, what she says and how she moves, because I know nothing else about her. And it's very natural for human beings to form an opinion based on what they see, right? Very natural. And so I think how you present yourself at all times is very important, especially if you're single. Not saying married ladies shouldn't too, because to be fair to your husband, you should, right? But if you're single and looking to attract somebody, ladies, work with me, right? If you are single and you're looking to attract somebody, you should be attractive. That is all I say, right? If you're looking to attract a man, you need to be attractive. So nothing wrong with working on the outside, right? But here it is. I want to give you all some tips, right? Look the part. Yeah, look the part, right? I want to give you all some tips on how you could appear to be more confident. And I'm not talking about in terms of how you dress and makeup and hair and things. I think those things are kind of obvious, right? And again, I think that women are without excuse when it comes to self-help and that kind of thing, right? Improving yourself. There are videos on YouTube that will teach you about everything you need to know. How to dress for your body type, even to go as far as to what colors might suit you, your complexion, what to do with your hair. Oh my goodness, you're going to find probably millions of videos on hair and what you can do to your hair. How to take care of your skin, how to lose weight, how to gain weight. Ladies, you absolutely have no excuse. I don't need to do a session on that. You have a smartphone. If you're on this call and you're on Zoom, it means you have a smartphone and you can access YouTube. Figure it out, right? If you need some tips, just, ask a friend who you might consider fashionable and stuff. But I think at the end of the day, women know the basic things that men want to see, right? Right. But these tips are different, right? It's dealing with more body language and that kind of thing, right? And the number one thing, now this is to appear confident on the outward. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is nowhere as important as on the inside, right? And this might catch somebody's attention and get them to approach or maybe take interest, but it's certainly not going to cause them to stay with you if you are not really this person, right? So, but these things help, right? So when you're in public, you're in a room, ladies, with, several gentlemen, ladies, let's say it's a gathering, whatever, make eye contact, right? Don't be that person who's walking around your room and you can't look at anybody. Like you're not confident enough to even look somebody in the eye. Ladies, not stare down the man. I'm not talking about look like an, you see me? Look, man. No, I'm talking about that, right? I'm not talking about that kind of look. I'm not talking about seduce. I'm talking about you going into a room and you have the ability to, if somebody smiles at you, you nod and you say, good night. And it's not good night while your head down on the ground. It's not good night with your head down, or it's not good night and you look away. Or if they're talking to you, if somebody stop and ask you a question, a genuine question. Hi, excuse me. Hi, mom, I'm looking for the, you know where the bathroom is, right? Why all you so, no, about sticker, right? So a man stop here and say, excuse me, hi, miss, do you know where the gents is? I'm looking for the gents. And you answer, it's down the road, so it down, just around the corner there. Saying, more than likely that man not thinking twice about you. Unless, of course, you have stuff going on with your outfit and things popping out. But even so, he will form an opinion immediately. And the opinion is not necessarily good. He might say you're shy, but he might also think you're easy. Because he might think, well, she's not confident, she's coming across confident. So most likely I could give she a little you know, talk and whatever. And so you want to make eye contact with people when you meet them and you're talking to them when you're in a room. You don't want to appear like, you know, you can't look the person in the eye. I remember a time in my life, I don't make the story real short, I used to work in a, I think I shared the story already. I used to work in a travel agency and they had very high-end customers, right? And all the customers were like rich, Trinity, Syrians, and, you know, and they had this man who used to come and I remember his name. I remember a lot about him. And this was some years ago. This was 20-something years ago. And my desk was right by the door. And so when he was the most pleasant, charismatic, and in my opinion, handsome man I knew, right? Not a crush. He's so out of my league, he can't even be a crush. Like, how dare, in those days, how I can even call him a crush? It's like, no, not even, right? Anyway, so when he came through the door, he would tell everybody good day. He would come by a desk and he would, like, you know, put his hand in the desk and say, hey, when you go, you're going, and he'd go to everybody, give everybody a little 2 seconds, you know, based on importance. And I was the most junior and the pleb in the company. So I would just get a couple of seconds here. And then we go down the line until he reached the bosses and he'd go and sit down and drink and line with them in the back, right? But he would never pass the street. But I remember when he came to my desk, I did not want to look at him. And the reason is why he was so good looking to me that I felt like I can't look at him because I didn't see myself as beautiful enough for him to look at me. So I felt when he was talking to me, I just being transparent. I felt like while he was talking to me, like doing like this, like, yeah, I could, you know, because I think, you know, he watching that pimple there and he watching that mark there and he watching this here and he's seen. I'm thinking that I looking into his face and thinking this man perfect. And my thoughts are, he looking into my face and thinking, this girl had real flows. And that's just where I was at that time in my life, right? I didn't feel confident about who I was, you know, necessarily at that time. But yeah, I remember I could not look at him in his eye. I would just look for a few seconds and look away, right? It's silly. Thinking about it now, it is very silly, but it's because I just thought he was just so drop dead gorgeous. But anyway, so eye contact is important. I wonder if I had made eye contact with him and speak confidently what, you know, anyway, let's not go there, ladies, right? Make eye contact, right? Remember, I showed you what type of eye contact not to make. I'm just talking about giving people the respect of looking them in the eye. Plain and simple, right? It goes a long way. Next one, stand up straight and fix your posture. I try to do that for years. Right? But we are creatures of habit. And if you habitually slouch, you do it unconsciously. And so for me to not slouch or for me to walk totally upright, I have to make a conscious effort because it's not natural to me. Sometimes I do think about it and I would try it. But then because I'm so accustomed, probably slouching as my default, when I stand straight with you, you know, put your shoulders behind your ears, that's what they say. And, you know, my back actually hurts. I'm like, nah, let me go back to what I'm accustomed doing, right? I mean, in my case, it's not a lack of confidence. It's just because it's how I carried myself for a while. So it's difficult now to change that. And I'm just like, but listen, ladies, your posture goes a long way in confidence. There are a couple ladies that come to mind when I think of this. There's one particular lady, my daughter and I kind of were talking about the other day, like, wait, because she was sitting and she was slouching. And I was like, girl, sit up now. And she got back to me. I'm like, I trying to help you in life. Like, mommy, I said, girl, you want me to say, okay, Chrissy, slouch? I'm like, I'm trying to help you. You know, you'll look better if you sit up. And then we started talking about this young lady who's always, since I've known her, she's like, she never slouches. She walks like upright. And that's great. If she grew up like that, that's the better way to be, right? So ladies, your body language is important. It sends a message. Trust me, this is much different to somebody who walk in slouch and your head always tilt, or big difference, right? Don't fidget. Let's say you go to an interview. Don't shake your leg and fidget, right? And you're talking to you and you're like, yeah, and don't fidget. Don't play with the pencils. Don't play with these things on the desk. Don't fidget. If you look fidgety, somebody who's very fidgety comes across as anxious, like somebody who has anxiety. Like you can't settle, like there's something going on and you know, your body just showing it, right? I shake my leg a lot. I don't know if it's a nervous thing. Again, I don't know if that's a habit. But when I become conscious, I would stop, right? But if your hands are visible, you're talking to somebody, let's say you're talking to a guy, I know maybe some girls might think it cute, but you know, again, it's cute for who? What kind of guy would think that cute, right? You know, you're talking, it's like, yeah, yeah, I can, oh gosh. Yeah, oh gosh, yes, serious. You know, Ismail, right? You're not 5, right, ladies? You're not 5. So you don't want to fidget. You want to be confident. You want to be aware of what you're doing with your hands. Be very, very aware of what you're doing with your hands, because you don't want it to come across as chaos. You all get me? You don't want to, you know, you come into somebody's space and I'm using the word aura and vibe because you all can relate, could give across a sense of chaos, right? Like this person can't stand still, boy, they're fidgeting. So, and you know, so you want to relax, right? We're not 5. You want to make, right? I hope you're paying attention and writing these down. You want to make slower movements as opposed to the fast thing gives off a anxious vibes too. Like, what going on? This girl can't stay still. And you know, okay, if you're going somewhere and you have to walk fast, you have to walk fast. But your default is always, you open a door, whap, you move, you know, everything is fast, right? But the fast is really because slow means people are able to focus on you more, right? When I say slow, not slow, taking your time and doing things then, right? Maybe, you know, it's giving people opportunity to focus. And so you have this kind of fast, kind of, you know, helter-skelter kind of movement. So you want to be aware of that. How you walk as well as a woman. I can't stand up and show you all. I would have loved to be able to have the ability to stand and show you. I would have loved to have the ability to stand and show you how not to walk as a woman. Your walk, ladies, listen. Body language is so important. I mean, I said it's not as important as confidence, inward confidence, and that's true. But you see, for first impressions, though, there are things that you can believe about yourself on the inside that will help how you look on the outside. But remember what I said, even the Bible says it, man cannot see your heart. They don't know who you are inside. They make a judgment based on what they see outside. And I always like to give the story about the prophet Samuel when he went to look for the king, when God sent him to look for the king, who was David. And David was the only brother who was not there. And when he saw Jesse's eldest son, who was, and this is a prophet of God, right? Who was tall and handsome and rugged and she was strong. When he saw him, his immediate thing was this, look the Lord's anointed there. Look him, I had to look no further. Look the king, while they bring the crown. He was ready to crown that son who was not the king, right? And then he went down the line based on what he saw, how they looked probably physically, until he eventually said, well, you had to have a next son. Because everyone I choose God saying is not the one, because God was not interested in what he was seeing outward. David had more courage and more in him. He was more of a man than all of them put together, but his stature was not like theirs. And he accomplished more than all of them put together as one could have accomplished in his time as king, right? And so that I said, that story I gave you to say, people do what they see is outward. And so if you are looking, I'm speaking to you from this perspective, you are looking to attract a man. And so what is on the outward, ladies, is important, which is why I'm saying this, right? So you wanna have a proper walk as well, right? If your walk is chaotic, it's hard to change some fundamental things. If you have been walking a certain way from a child, I don't expect you to wake up in the morning and say, okay, I'm gonna walk differently, right? But there's some walks that give off a vibe I cannot show you here. And I think some of the way that women walk sometimes, they think it's who they are, but I think a lot of it comes from a spirit of lust. and a vibe that we pick up from the world that we think that we have to portray as women that is actually not feminine, but more seductive, right? So, and then, you know, yeah, yeah. And then too, just you could, again, people can form a perception, you know, and it may not necessarily be you, but it's what you're trying to portray, right? Give a firm handshake, ladies. If you are being introduced to a man, don't hold him hand like if it's a puppet hand and do him this. Don't do that. Don't shake his hand like it's can't, like you barely want to touch him. That is, come now, for a real gentleman, they're gonna notice that. They'll be like, what up? Why she can't shake my hand properly? Proper handshake, simple. Say hold the person's hand firm, not to squeeze them and put them through pain, but at least firm enough, right? Speak slowly and clearly. And not, you don't have to speak, I'm not saying speak like somebody that you're not. Everybody has a different way that they speak. You know, they have the convent girls, they have a convent accent, right? And then they have all kind of, well, I mean, I just been real. I grew up like this, right? I went to go sec. And, you know, we would mock convent girls and how they would talk and stuff. And obviously we know girls who probably went to secondary school or junior sec would talk differently. Unless, of course, you grew up, get to that's what I'm looking for. Unless, of course, you grew up in a home where you were taught to speak a certain way, pronounce your words properly and whatever. But I'm not so much talking about that because, again, I think I think you should have enough, I should say, care about yourself enough. Let's say if your vocabulary is limited or you don't like the way you speak, that you could improve it, right? But if you're comfortable where you are now, I'm not talking about trying to change that or be anybody that you're not. All I'm saying is slowly and clearly, so that the person don't have to keep saying what you say. Sorry, repeat yourself, say again, say again, say again. You want to be able to talk clearly and slowly enough, not slow and not dragging. But if you're having a conversation with somebody, I think you're going to want them to understand what you're saying, right? And so I think it's going to be a turn off for anybody, man, woman, boy, girl, if they're speaking to you and they cannot understand what you are saying. The conversation is going to be difficult because you're either speaking too fast or you're not speaking clear enough, right? So try, right? There are a couple other things you all could probably add at the end. You all could probably add. I'm thinking to do the most important part next week. Again, because I don't want to rush it. My intention was not to, at 9:20, to now start this. All right, so ladies. So the last part of this session is we just spoke about the outward, right? And simple little things you could do to appear to be more confident, right? And those are none of those things that I mentioned going to harm you or is going to take much effort, right? Making eye contact with people when you speak to them, that's not difficult, right? Shaking somebody's hand properly, that's not difficult. Not fidgeting might be a little more difficult if it's a habit, but if you're conscious of it, you can make adjustments as you go along, right? Inside now is a different story. And it's a little more difficult to fix the inside and to be authentic. Really be who you are, but be confident about it, right? And so with that said, I can't get into it and finish tonight. If I try to get into it, I would have to rush it and I don't. So it will mean this going to part 3, right? But it is extremely important. It is going to help you ladies in every single area of your life, not just when it comes to feeling good about yourself or attracting the opposite sex. It is the foundation. I think if you have these things on the inside, it's going to really change. It's going to change your mind about you and even how you see other people. It's actually even going to change how people relate to you. Because ladies, believe it or not, people relate to you based on the vibe that you give to them. Huh? And you might think that you are hiding the inside wars and struggles that you have, but people sometimes it's so a part of you that people are able to see that, you know, this person putting on a show. This is not really them. I'm sure we've all met people who we could say, that person being fake is actually, I think, they fake. That's, you're not being authentic, right? You're trying to be somebody else. And so I want to help you with that, but it's going to have to be next week. And also, I definitely want to hear from you all. And Celeste, I saw some very interesting questions. So next week, we're going to get